Hello. Today I'll be presenting my project titled Use of a Changing Criterion Design to Reduce Cigarette Smoking in Adult Male. This study was completed for PS561 in the Department of Psychology at Purdue Global. The focus of this project was to evaluate whether a changing criterion single case design could be used to systematically and effectively reduce cigarette smoking in a natural environment. Smoking cessation is widely recognized as difficult to maintain, with high rates of relapse and even repeated quit attempts. Although many cessation approaches emphasize pharmacological or clinical supports, long-term abstinence remains challenging for a lot of individuals. Prior research also suggests that behavioral strategies may be particularly effective when they allow for gradual, observable change rather than abrupt cessation. Based on this literature, this study is going to explore a behavioral analytic approach that focuses on shaping smoking behavior through systematic criterion design changes. The purpose of this study was to evaluate the effectiveness of a changing criterion behavioral intervention for reducing the number of cigarettes smoked per day by an adult male. Rather than targeting immediate abstinence, the intervention focused on gradual reduction over time. The goal was to determine whether smoking behavior would systematically track changes in the criterion, and that would demonstrate experimental control within a single case framework. The participant in this study was Raymond, a 54-year-old male who had smoked approximately a pack of cigarettes a day for over 20 years. And the intervention procedures took place in a natural environment, specifically within the participant's home and community settings. By conducting the study in natural context, it was important for increasing the ecological validity of the findings. It ensured that the behavior change occurred under realistic conditions. This study uses a single case experimental design, specifically a changing criterion design. And this type of design is well suited for behaviors that can be shaped gradually over time. One advantage of the changing criterion design is that it allows for demonstration of experimental control without having to withdraw an effective intervention. And this is especially important when you're working with health-related behaviors such as smoking. Experimental control is demonstrated when the behavior consistently changes to match each new criterion level. The independent variable in this study is the systemic reduction in the allowable number of cigarettes smoked per day across successive criterion phases. The dependent variable was the daily number of cigarettes smoked, which was recorded through participant self-monitoring. Self-monitoring was selected as a practical and realistic data collection method for this particular setting, and it also served as a form of response awareness that helped support behavior change. Baseline data was first collected to establish Raymond's typical smoking level, which is where we came up with the 20 cigarettes or about a pack a day. Once the baseline stability was observed, the intervention was introduced. And the allowable number of cigarettes per day gradually reduced across the successive phases. So it went from 20 to 18 to 16 to 14 to 12. Advancement to the next criterion required stable responding at or below the current criterion level, which ensured that the behavior change was systematic rather than just abrupt. And then a maintenance phase targeted near abstinence to evaluate whether reductions could be sustained over time. Here is the graph with the data in it that shows the criterion phase. And the results show that smoking behavior systematically decreased as the criterion were lowered. Importantly, the participants' behavior closely tracked each criterion change, which is a key indicator of experimental control, especially in changing criterion designs. As the allowable number of cigarettes decreased, actual cigarette consumption decreased accordingly. During the maintenance phase, smoking it approached zero, suggesting that the intervention was effective in producing meaningful behavior change. So overall, the changing criterion intervention was effective in reducing cigarette smoking in this case. The consistent correspondence between criterion changes and behavior change supports a functional relation between the intervention and the outcome. And these findings align with the behavioral literature emphasizing gradual skill-based approaches to behavior change rather than reliance on abrupt cessation alone. This study also demonstrates how single case designs can be applied effectively to health-related behaviors in natural environments. There are, however, some limitations to this study. Despite the positive findings. First, the study included only a single participant, and this limits generalizability. Secondly, the data was self-reported, which can also introduce measurement bias. Additionally, the maintenance phase was relatively short, so for future research, we should include additional participants, longer follow-up periods, and potentially objective measures of smoking behavior to strengthen the evidence base for this approach. I've also included my references. Thank you for your time.